see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy...
The MotoGP world has once again been in an uproar. Yamaha's private test at the Aragon circuit, initially held behind closed doors, has now become the center of attention throughout the paddock. The reason is one name: Toprak Razgatlioglu. The legendary world superbike rider has once again proven that his presence is not just an experiment, but a serious signal from Yamaha for the future of MotoGP. From the very first lap, Toprak immediately demonstrated his signature character. His hyper-aggressive braking style, his bike hung in corners, and his extreme front-end control, all WSBK traits that have long been considered incompatible with MotoGP, became his main weapons at Aragon. The Yamaha engineers monitoring the telemetry data were stunned. Not only was he amazed by his speed, but also by the way Toprak pushed Yamaha's V4 bike to perform beyond its normal limits. He entered corners deeper, braked later, and maintained stability on corner exit, something even current Yamaha MotoGP riders haven't been able to fully achieve. Most surprising of all, Toprak didn't need long to adapt. Within just a few sessions, he was already daring to request extreme settings changes: rake angle, engine braking, and even front-end weight distribution. This wasn't the behavior of a rider who was just trying it out, but rather a rider who truly understood what he wanted from a MotoGP prototype bike. The Yamaha bosses who were present in person at Aragon were reportedly stunned. They didn't expect the typical WSBK approach to open up new perspectives on Yamaha's V4 development. Yamaha had always been known for developing smooth, corner-friendly bikes. But Toprak came with a different philosophy. The bike had to be attackable, not just rideable. Several paddock sources reported that Yamaha was now reconsidering the direction of chassis development and braking characteristics. Toprak's data showed great potential when the bike was given the freedom to brake harder and more aggressively, something it had previously avoided for the sake of stability. And here's the complete news. The Aragon circuit, usually quiet during private testing, felt different this time. Not because of the number of bikes on the track, nor because of the weather or track conditions, but because of one figure who had almost all eyes focused on the Yamaha garage. Toprak Razgatlioglu was back on a MotoGP prototype bike, and what happened on the track was completely unexpected. Since morning, the atmosphere in the paddock had been tense. Yamaha had tried to maintain complete secrecy, but Toprak's presence caused rumors to spread quickly. Mechanics from other teams began to slow down as they passed near the Yamaha garage. Everyone wanted to know one thing: how far would the world superbike champion go when he returns to riding the V4 engine MotoGP monster? As soon as the green light turned, Toprak immediately took to the track without further ado. There was no lengthy warm-up phase as is typical for MotoGP riders. The first lap was still cautious, but only briefly. Entering the second and third laps, Toprak's signature style began to emerge very clearly. He braked much deeper than usual. The front tire was under extreme pressure, the rear end seemed to float, and in some of Aragon's tight corners, Toprak even appeared to be cracking the bike by pure instinct. The style that had been his trademark in World Superbike was now being applied directly to the MotoGP bike, and the result surprised everyone. The Yamaha engineers monitoring the telemetry data began to exchange glances. The braking graphs showed unusual numbers. The lean angle on corner entry differed from Yamaha's baseline. Toprak's use of engine braking was also much more aggressive. This wasn't simply a rider adapting to the bike, but rather a rider forcing the bike to do his bidding. What made the situation even more interesting was that Toprak wasn't just fast. He was consistent. Lap after lap, his rhythm was steady. Even when the tires began to degrade, he maintained his aggressive style without losing control. This raised a big question within Yamaha. Had they been limiting the bike's potential too much for the sake of comfort? A few hours after the first session, Toprak returned to the pits and immediately engaged in a lengthy discussion with the engineers. His hand gestures were firm, his expression serious. He spoke not like a guest rider, but like a full-time rider who knew exactly what the bike needed to go faster. He requested bold changes. Not small details, but fundamental settings. The front weight distribution was altered. Engine braking was adjusted to be more biting. Even the chassis character was discussed in depth. This was a rare approach for a rider who had only been in MotoGP a few times. When the second session began, the difference was immediately apparent. The Yamaha V4 bike looked wilder, but that was precisely what Toprak wanted. He attacked the corners with complete confidence. In the tough sections of Aragon, he even looked more aggressive than some regular MotoGP riders during the race. The Yamaha bosses present at Aragon were reportedly completely stunned. Not just by the speed, but by Toprak's way of thinking. He brought the WSBK racing philosophy to MotoGP, a philosophy where rider and bike fight together against the limit, not just to maintain balance. Yamaha had always been known for its smooth, corner-friendly bikes that relied on corner speed. But Toprak came with a different idea. Braking should be the primary weapon. Corner entry should be brutal, yet controlled. And surprisingly, the data showed that approach worked. Several paddock sources stated that Toprak's data opened a new window in the development of the Yamaha V4. There was enormous potential that had been left untapped because it was considered too risky. However, Toprak proved that with the right rider, that risk could be turned into an advantage. It didn't take long for news of this test to spread throughout the paddock. Ducati, KTM, and even Aprilia began to take serious notice. Toprak's name was being talked about again, no longer as a WSBK rider trying out MotoGP, but as a potential future threat. Many began comparing him to Marc Marquez in the early MotoGP era. It wasn't about body style, but mentality. The courage to brake at unreasonable points. Complete confidence in the front tire. And the ability to read the bike at its absolute limit. This Aragon test ultimately became more than just a test. It was a message. A message that Yamaha was seeking a new path. A message that Ducati's dominance shouldn't be challenged by copying, but by a different approach. And a message that Toprak Razgatlioglu could be the key to that change. Of course, this wasn't an official race. But in the world of MotoGP, data never lies. And this data is what now makes Yamaha even more confident that they are on the right track. And here is the complete news. Motorland Aragon has never been an ordinary circuit. It's a symbol of dominance, a place where legends are made and reputations are staked. For years, one name has been inextricably linked to Aragon: Marc Marquez. But today, that balance began to shift. In a private test initially designed to be low-key, Yamaha discovered something that shocked the entire paddock. That figure was Toprak Razgatlioglu. And what he did at Aragon wasn't just fast, it shook the very foundations of MotoGP itself. From the first lap, Toprak's aura was different. He didn't look like a rider learning a new bike. He looked like a rider challenging the limits. Every corner was devoured with his trademark aggression, yet with a calmness rarely seen in a rider just adapting to MotoGP machinery. Yamaha's engineers immediately noticed something unusual. In the first sector, Toprak was stable. But the real surprise came in sectors 2 and 3, the most technical sections of Aragon, areas that have long been Marc Marquez's domain. The data showed Toprak entering corners deeper, braking later, and still maintaining incredible corner exit speed. In fact, in several simulation laps, his speed surpassed the historical benchmark Yamaha had used as a reference since the Marquez era. The Yamaha boss on the pit wall appeared silent. There was no celebration, no exaggerated comments, just a serious stare at the data screen, as if trying to confirm the numbers were real. An internal source said, "We thought there was a sensor error. But after double-checking, everything was valid." What truly amazed Yamaha wasn't just the lap time. It was how Toprak achieved it. He didn't rely on pure power. He utilized extreme braking, almost impossible front-wheel control, and the courage to push the bike to work in the gray zone. Toprak's riding style has long been known for its brutality in World Superbike. Many doubted whether it would hold up in MotoGP, but at Aragon, Toprak seemed to have answered all those doubts in one day. The Yamaha V4 prototype, once considered wild, actually looked tame in his hands. Toprak provided detailed, precise, and highly technical feedback. Every lap, he requested small adjustments, not because he was struggling, but because he wanted to go faster. Yamaha engineers called it both a nightmare and a beautiful dream. A nightmare because the new standards had suddenly risen so high. A beautiful dream because they finally saw the true potential of the V4 project, which had been questioned for so long. Comparisons with Marc Marquez were becoming increasingly difficult to
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me, cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this